Moana 2, terrible.
Moana. You see, you hated it a lot more than I did. I didn't like. I thought it was okay.
I gave it a C minus.
Okay.
I didn't give it an F, but I mean, I think my C minus is a gift. I really thought it was terrible. It was not. It had some things I liked. I think the character of Moana is still well written. I think she's a good hero. I think Ali Carvalho does a great job with her voice. But boy, I didn't know that it was supposed to be a TV show. I watched the movie. I thought, wow, that was really all over the place. I don't know what I was thinking it was going to be, but it wasn't that. And then I was doing a little bit of research for my review video, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. This movie has 3 different directors because it was supposed to be a TV show. I'm not sure at what phase they decided to pivot that into a movie, but it showed to me. I mean, it was all over the place.
I'm on the fence with this because you're right. But I also love the fact that Iger came in and was like, we're putting this in theaters. Because I keep saying, like, if you look at Disney, what Disney put out in 2023, Disney did terrible at the box office in 2023, but most of those movies were great movies.
I agree. I thought the Haunted Mansion was terrible.
Haunted Mansion first of the bunch.
I thought the Haunted Mansion was not good.
Had that
Strange World.
That was I think that was the year before.
Okay.
Maybe
Strange World came out in 23.
Okay, that one did suck. But I'm talking
Strange World also not good.
I'm talking about the Marvels. I really like the Marvels.
That's MCU. That doesn't count.
I
did not quite count that with their proper movie. Just like I can count Inside Out 2 this year as a Disney movie. Even though Disney put it out, I understand that, but that's a Pixar.
I know, but I'm talking like just Disney across the board.
Okay.
Because Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny should have been a huge hit.
I agree.
Nobody goes to see it. It was so good. And so it's not like it was the quality.
It didn't matter how good the movie was. You're not getting around the fact that Harrison Ford was an 80-year-old man. Let's be honest about that.
But that's in America because that's in the story.
They should have sold that third act, honestly.
I think
put that in the trailer that got butts in seats.
I think it's a problem that everyone hated the last one. I mean, it's like Transformers. Transformers 1 was awesome, but nobody really saw it because the Transformers have had such bad will for the last, however many years.
Oh, well, that's the irony. The best Transformers movie. Perp's going to disagree with me here. The best Transformers movies are the ones that perform the worst at the box office.
Yeah, Bumblebee was excellent.
I have a take that when you introduce something to the general audience that's live action, it's very difficult to return back to the animation and have them on board. You gotta you gotta do something else with that. I think there's something to that a little bit. I know Ninja Turtles is an exception, but it tried into 2007 one. It tried multiple times.
Anthony, I totally disagree because the story was about an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. If you have 80-year-old Harrison Ford trying to pretend he's a 40-year-old guy, it's not going to work. But this was a movie about an 80-year-old man. This was about a man at the end of his life. His age, honestly, worked into the story. That was the story.
So
Dial of Destiny also cost $300 million to make too, so it did have that going against it.
It should have made $1 billion. Yeah. That's the point. It should have been $1 billion movie.
Billion.
And here's
it's
the thing:
Indiana Jones.
Moana too.
I know, but there's been so many derivatives and inspirational like-minded characters that have been taken to another level. You have the Uncharted, you have the Tomb Raiders.
But like Dan said, a lot of people didn't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, and Dial of Destiny was a much better film. And Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a huge hit. So it's like lesser movie.
Doing the same. We're also doing the same thing again. They should have marketed that. He's going to time travel, and you're going to see Nazis versus Romans. They should have straight up just put that in the trailer. Like it needed it. You needed it to, for the audience at this point. It needs to go bonkers. They need to go bonkers with it. It's not like going around. Like I know he's 80. I know that's the story, but him going around swimming into a tomb, it's just not enough. It's not enough for general audiences to get butts and seats.
I don't know.
That extra
I
factor,
think,
and I think they could have done it if they just sold the time travel aspect. Put that in the trailer.
I think if it were not for Chapek, that movie would have been a big hit. And I think that's for most of Disney. That's now The Little Mermaid and Elemental, they were surprise hits because they kind of came out, had a soft opening. A lot of people wrote them off and were like, those movies failed. And then no, those movies had legs. They kept going and going and going, and they ended up being quite successful at the end of their run because they just had this longevity. But the biggest problem Disney had in 2023 was Bob Chapek trained people to stay home by releasing these movies to streaming too quickly. 3 consecutive, I'll say 3.5 because I'll even include Onward in there. Onward opened the day before theaters shut down, or the Friday before theaters shut down.
Yeah, I think it had a week.
Right, so I'll say 3.5. 3.5 consecutive Pixar movies went direct to streaming.
Right,
and then there was
that was a mistake.
Then there was the attempts at the 40-day window, where they were like, well, we're going to have them. And Encanto, the Encanto sin, the great sin of Encanto, where Disney came out and said, we're putting this movie in theaters, and it'll be on Disney Plus 30 days from today, and basically told the audience, you don't need to go see this.
Right.
And nobody did. And they went, and then it comes on 30 days later, it comes on Disney Plus. It blew up and became huge. And it's like, and Iger comes in and he's like, no more of this shit. No, we're not. We're putting this stuff in theaters. We're getting rid of this 45-day stupid window. Indiana Jones didn't premiere on for like months. He fixed the ship.
Joe, listen, you're not wrong about any of that, but I also think you're giving Iger a little too much credit for having the foresight to put Moana in theaters instead of Disney Plus. Look, here's the bottom line: is Disney's bottom line has been terrible. Moana 2 in theaters is a no-brainer. It's an instant billion-dollar movie, and of course it's going to go to theaters. Like, why was it ever even thought of as a TV show? Because Bob Chapek's an idiot, sure,
right?
But Bob Iger, it's not like you had to be Karnak to see that Moana 2, whether it stinks or not, is going to be a billion-dollar movie.
Right.
To Dan's point.
So yeah, Iger certainly righted that ship. But they needed a hit. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine certainly, helped their coffers this year, but and so did Inside Out. But they needed a Disney proper hit.
Right.
And
to Dan's point about Moana 2 starting off as a TV show, then turning into a movie, this is not the first time Disney's done it. In terms with their movies, if you remember Lilo and Stitch from the early 2000s, the first movie released in theaters, and then every other sequel released straight to video, and even that had a television show on the Disney Channel for a couple years, lasted, I believe, 2 seasons, about 67 episodes. So, again, like I'm pointing out, with Moana 2 starting off as a TV show, that's nothing new. Frozen 2 and Moana 2 are actually the exceptions and not really the rule. If you're looking at Disney animated movie sequels, most of them went straight to video.
Well, I think Disney has learned from Pixar, quite frankly, because Pixar was an individual entity that they bought. And it was Pixar that started doing things like Toy Story 2 and the Monsters University. And Pixar started doing, because Disney, like you said, always, you did not get sequels to Disney animated films unless they went direct to video.
But I'm going to go back even further, Joe. I think they got the idea from DreamWorks. They started putting out all those Shrek movies that made $1 billion every single time. And they're like, wait, why are we wasting a Stitch in Time, Cinderella 3, on DVD? Where
solid movie, by the way.
It's not solid movie. I know that's why.
The second one is terrible, but that third one, Time Travel Cinderella.
Okay. but and then Fox started doing it with I forget what the first one they did with, but obviously the Despicable Me, the Ice Age. That's what Ice Age kept making movies. So I think, I mean, That's why they put Wreck-It Ralph, or what was it called? Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's why that was in theaters. That's why Frozen 2 was in theaters. And that's obviously why Moana 2 is in theaters. Now, why they're doing a live action Moana for 2026, I don't know.
That's stupidity.
That's a little early, but whatever.
Is it when it makes $1 billion? Will it be stupidity?
No, look. I thought the 2019 Lion King. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I thought it was an abomination.
I thought it was every.
Don't call it live action. It's not live action. It's animated.
I thought it was every bit as bad as
the
original Lion King.
What's that?
I said I thought it was every bit as bad as the original Lion King.
I love the original Lion King. I thought the new
I know
version,
I'm in the minority. I do not like the Lion
We already have a live action Lion King. It's called the Broadway musical, which I did go see back in 2006 when it came to Denver. It came to the Beale Theater. But anyway, I digress.
Nice.
Well, we were actually talking on Perp Stream on Thanksgiving. I don't know if RJ is watching, but RJ was with us on Perp Stream on Thanksgiving, and we were talking about Mufasa and how Mufasa is going to do. And I think people are sleeping on that movie. I think that's going to be a huge hit. And people keep saying, well, nobody wants this. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I kept hearing nobody wanted the 2019 Lion King either, and it made $1 billion.
It broke records.
I really think Mufasa is going to be the next Avatar 2. Remember how with Avatar 2 we kept hearing this movie's going to bomb.
I was one of the people that thought it would bomb. But to be fair, James Cameron at the time was coming out saying that had to be like the third or fourth highest grossing movie of all time in order to break even. So Avatar: The Way of Water had a lot going against it.
Well, I think that we're not the core audience for Mufasa. And I think that the people who went to see The Lion King, this one, I think he stands a better chance.
I don't know, man. Those Sonic fans are pretty savage.
Why can't you see both? I don't understand. Like it's the holiday. You know, you're all.
And what's funny about Avatar: The Way of Water?
Like 6 times.
Avatar: The Way of Water came out, made a crap ton of money, and then no one talked about it within like 3 months.
It's a terrible movie. I don't know if you guys like Avatar: The Way of Water. I thought it was very bad.
I didn't.
I didn't like the first one, so I didn't watch Way of Water.
Any doubt, Joe, that it was going to make a lot of money.
Oh yeah, my wife and daughter.
I didn't think it would be good.
My wife and daughter love the Avatar movies. I fell well, I shouldn't say that. I fall asleep in every movie because I have sleep apnea. But I fell asleep out of boredom in Avatar 2, as opposed to falling asleep because I have sleep apnea. But I think it's I don't know. I think you've got Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the music. All it's going to take is one banger song on the radio. It's going to bring attention to that movie.
Oh, I agree. I think it will be a smash hit. I don't know if it's going to be good. It might be better than The Lion King because at least it's, I guess, an original story. But I don't know.
Dante Candelora has a good question. If you want to highlight that live action Jungle Book, which do you like, the 94 or the 2016 version, the 1994 version? Because the 2016 version was basically just a remake of the 60s animated movie. At least the 94 live action movie tried to make it closer to the book.
They're wildly different. It's hard to compare them because they're wildly different.
I never saw the 94.
I didn't see the 94 version either until the 2016 came out. And then I was like, remember there was one in 94 that I never saw? And I was on a quest to find it. And I ended up buying it on VHS for 50 cents because that was the only way I could find it.
And it was Disney as well?
Pretty good. Yeah, it was Disney. It had, what's her name from Game of Thrones? Lena Headey was in it.
Okay.
It's solid. But it's a much more serious take on the material. I don't know if I could pick a favorite because they're so wildly different.
I liked the 2016 version. I thought it was one of their better remakes.
My favorite is, in fact, the only one that I will actually go to bat and say I think is better than the original animated. The only one I think that was an improvement was Dumbo. Tim Burton's Dumbo, I really liked. And, I mean, it was just, it told a little bit of a different story. Like it was similar, but different. And you didn't have the blatant racism. Like there was a lot that it improved upon. So I think that's like the only one that I would say that's the one that I think is the big improvement. But
my favorite of them, and I don't think it's better than the original because the original for me is an A+, but I thought The Beauty and the Beast was excellent with Emma Watson. I know that gets a lot of hate from people. But again, there was enough different about it. There was some backstory. There was about her mother. There was the new song. And I just thought it was very well done.
You said Emma Watson, and in my head, I thought Emma Stone, and I'm like, no, that was Cruella.
Well, they
But-
love their Emmas. Cruella was Emma Stone and Emma Thompson.
Oh yeah, yeah. But Cruella, that was good. That
I
was
didn't care
really
for Cruella,
good.
but that's
Really? Oh, I
thing.
really liked
Yeah.
Cruella. And the director of Cruella is now doing Supergirl for James Gunn. So
Oh, nice.